Alright, welcome to another edition of the FantasyFix.com podcast. I'm your host, Brett Talley. We're here to talk daily fantasy strategy on July 25th, 2014 for DraftKings. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at TheRealTal. Alright, weather today, not a ton of rain. Only real game to be concerned about is the Pirates at Rockies. That's obviously a big one. Only a 30% chance of rain as of this recording. Isolated thunderstorms. Generally not the type of thing that ends up getting games rained out. Rain delays don't really hurt you in that game since you're probably just using hitters. As long as they get the game in at some point during the night, you should be fine. Other weather, aside from rain, I guess it's going to be warm for the A's at Rangers game and the Indians at Royals game, and the wind is going to be blowing out in that Indians at Royals game. So those are both considerations for hitter stacks. And let's talk hitter stacks. Turns out the only one of those teams I ended up stacking today is going to be the A's in Texas against Jerome Williams, who I guess I don't believe he started since sometime last year with the Angels, but A's well above average against right-handed pitching. Texas is a good ballpark for hitters. It's going to be warm, bad pitcher. All the makings of a good stack there. Their four best ISO guys against right-handed pitching are Coco Crisp, Yoenis Cespedes, Brandon Moss, and John Jaso. I'm guessing that's going to be that should be four of their first five, if I'm guessing. I'm not exactly sure how the order will shake out, but as long as it is, that's a good stack. There's some concern that Cespedes may not play. I don't think he played today, but it sounds like he was available as a pinch hitter, and it sounds like there's a decent chance he could play on Friday today. So A's are probably your best stack of the day. Also really like the Pirates at Coors against Brett Anderson. Below average pitcher, good weather conditions, good ballpark, so that makes sense. I really like Andrew McCutchen, and I really like Jordy Mercer. I don't know how you're putting a shortstop in your lineup today that's anybody other than Jordy Mercer. If you just sort by isolated power from this year and last at the shortstop position, and then if you look at versus left-handed and versus right-handed pitching, the only guy that has a ISO higher against a particular pitcher-handedness than Jordy Mercer is Hanley Ramirez. I mean, Hanley Ramirez has been, I think, the best. I'm not counting Tulo since he's hurt, but Hanley has been the best versus right and left of guys that are not hurt. Although Hanley is hurt, and I don't think he's going to play tomorrow, so throw him out the window. And then the next guy with an ISO against left-handed pitching is Jordy Mercer, and it's in Coors. He's facing Brett Anderson, who's sort of a below-average lefty. I think he's pretty much a must-start today, and he's $3,500, not too expensive. Problem there is that McCutchen's going to hit 3. At best, Mercer's going to hit 6th. He may hit 7th, but I hope it's 6th. And if it is, you could throw in Gabby Sanchez as a righty, and that would be 3, 4, 6 in the Pirates lineup. Similar to Mercer, Chris Iannetta is really a good option at catcher. Just looking at ISO versus left and right for catchers, Iannetta's mark against left-handers is way up there. It's one of the best. They're facing Drew Smiley today, who has a big-time platoon split, really struggles with righties. So I think Iannetta is a great play. I would love for him to be hitting 9. That way you could stack the 2-3, Trout and Pujols with him. I don't know if that's going to happen. If he's hitting, 7 or 8, I don't know that you want to have a couple of guys, have Iannetta at 7 and then a couple guys in between him either way to get back to Trout or Pujols. So that may not be the best stack there, but I'd be using Iannetta a lot. And whether I was using Iannetta or not, I would like Trout and Pujols if you can afford it. Give you a few more options here on hitters. We've given you catcher, given you shortstop, and then with the A's and the Pirates gave you some outfield and first baseman. So it looks like we're missing second and third. I'll give you 2 options. One, if you've got money like Ian Kinsler and Miguel Cabrera against the left-hander Tyler Skaggs. They've got the platoon matchup there. Nobody better than Cabrera hitting for power, especially against lefties. I think his ISO's over 300 the last 2 years against lefties. So Kinsler, Cabrera, if you can afford it. If not, a little cheaper option might be Brian Dozier and Trevor Plouffe against, I believe it's Kevin Correa. Now they don't have the platoon advantage, and they're obviously not as good as those other guys, so it's definitely a poor man's version. But if you can't afford Cabrera and Kinsler, you could go Dozier, Plouffe at second, third. All right, starting pitcher. Play of the day, Alex Wood. I've always been a big Alex Wood fan, regardless of who he's facing. But today he's got the Padres. They did score some runs last night, but that was against Edwin Jackson and the Cubs bullpen. I really like Alex Wood. I think he could be the #1 pitcher of the day from a point perspective, and I certainly think he's the best value at only $7,700. If you're going to spend money on a pitcher today, I would do it on David Price and not on somebody like, I don't know, Felix Hernandez, John Lester, Zach Greinke. I like Price against the Red Sox. Red Sox, really, I mean, everybody knows, struggling this year. And they are below average against left-handed pitching, so I like Price a lot. Although I don't think I have him in a lineup because I couldn't really afford the $12,000 because I prefer to spend money on hitting. But if you got the money, Price is who you're spending big on. So aside from Wood, the guys that I did pay for, the next most expensive guy was Jesse Hahn. Threw him into one lineup. He's off to a real nice start facing the Braves, who are well below average against right-handed pitching. Just make sure that you don't start him in a lineup with Wood. You don't want opposing pitchers facing each other because they can't obviously both get the win. Also could see Giovanni Gallardo against the Mets, but I would prefer Hahn, even though Hahn's quite a bit more expensive than Gallardo. So Gallardo's not a bad mid-price option. Getting even cheaper, I could see Josh Tomlin versus the Royals. Tomlin's got some ridiculous strikeout walk numbers this year, something like a 21% strikeout rate, 3% walk. So like him against the Royals, who were below average against right-handed pitching. And then the cheapest option of the day, I could get down with some Dallas Keuchel against the Marlins. Keuchel's second cheapest pitcher of the day, if I remember correctly. Marlins below average against left-handed pitching. Seems like that stock has fallen too far, so I might get back on that train. Price if you got the money. Wood is your play of the day. Also like Jesse Hahn. Think Keuchel is the best, not the best value, but a very good value. And then Gallardo and Tomlin are other options. So good luck to everybody tomorrow, and I will be back next week with another podcast.